Title: Behind the Mask. Genre: horror, psychological thriller. Fade in. EXT. Abandoned house. Night. A decrepit, Gothic mansion looms under the pale moonlight. The wind howls, shaking the twisted branches of dead trees. The house is isolated, cut off from the world. Cut to it. Living room. Night. A dark, dimly lit room. Dust motes float through the air. An old fireplace crackles with a faint, dying flame. The furniture is covered in white sheets, adding to the eerie silence. A man, late 30s, rugged, and a woman, mid-20s, anxious, stand at the threshold. Man looks around cautiously. Well, this is it. Not much different than what I remember. Woman nervously clutching her purse. Where do we end up here again, Mark? Man with a sardonic smile. Because you wanted answers, right? The man steps further inside. The woman hesitates, but follows him, her eyes darting around the room. Angle on the dusty, cracked mirror above the fireplace. A faint shadow flickers in its reflection. Cut to flashback. School hallway day. A young girl, about 8, innocent looking, hurries down the hallway of an elementary school. Her face is hidden beneath a large, creepy clown mask. The hallway is dim, empty. Suddenly, her hand reaches for the door to the janitor's closet, but she pauses, hearing footsteps approaching. The girl turns around, her head jerking to the side in an unnatural way. A low, guttural giggle escapes her lips, sending a shiver down the spine of anyone watching. Back to present. Living room. Night. The room feels colder now. The air is heavy with tension. The man and woman sit down in front of the fireplace. Woman voice trembling. You didn't tell me about that part of the story, Mark. Man leaning forward, his voice taking on a darker tone. Some things are better left hidden. A loud crash from upstairs. The woman jumps, heart racing. The man doesn't flinch. He stands and walks toward the staircase without hesitation. Cut to it. Staircase. Night. The man climbs the creaking steps, each one groaning under his weight. The woman follows reluctantly, gripping the banister for support. At the top of the stairs, there's a long hallway. Faint whispers echo down the corridor, unintelligible, but full of malice. Man voice low. Stay close. Woman eyes wide. She nods. Why did you bring me here? You said this was going to be a simple investigation. Manzaying. Because it's not just a house, not just a mask, Jenna. It's the legend. People forget what happened here. But I never could. They reach the end of the hallway. At the door to a room at the far end, a large dusty sheet hangs loosely, covering something on the other side. The man reaches for the doorknob, hesitates, then opens it. The door creaks loudly, like a scream. Room. Night. The room is covered in old photographs. At first, they seem innocent, family portraits, smiling faces. But as the man and woman move closer, they begin to see the strange detail. Everyone in the photos wears a mask. Some are grotesque, others eerily serene, but all are unnatural. Woman voice shaking. This is where it all started, isn't it? The man nods solemnly, his eyes focused on one photograph in particular. It's an old picture of a young girl, wearing the same clown mask. But in this photo, her eyes are wide open, not hiding behind the mask, but staring directly into the camera. Man, the girl from the school. She lived here. After they found her. You've heard the stories, right? The killings? The disappearances? The woman looks at the photo, and for the first time, her fear seems to grip her completely. Woman, I didn't think it was real. I thought it was just man interrupting bitterly. Fiction? It wasn't. She was real, and so were the others. A loud thud comes from behind the sheet. The man's face freezes in terror. Cut to flashback. Living room. Night. Years ago. A younger version of the man, Mark, sits with a group of people around a table. The atmosphere is tense. They all wear masks, some grotesque, others twisted. A middle-aged man, Mr. Grayson, addresses the group. Grayson, this is no longer a game. People. We will find out who is behind these murders. We'll uncover the truth. No one can hide forever. A young girl, the same girl from the photos, sits at the table, silent, eyes hidden behind a mask. Her hand trembles as it grips the edge of the table. Mark in a low voice, not to be heard by others. We're in too deep. This thing, it doesn't stop. The girl slowly lifts her head, her eyes now visible through the mask. Young girl, once the mask is on, you can never take it off. Back to present. Room. Night. The man and woman look around nervously. Suddenly, a A soft voice echoes from the dark corner of the room. Voice, I've been waiting for you. The woman gasps. Mark spins around to face the source of the voice, his eyes wild. The woman stumbles backward, her hand reaching for the door. A figure in a clown mask steps forward from the shadows, its movements jerky like a marionette. Its eyes, cold, emotionless, lock onto them. Man whispering to himself. No, it can't be. The figure tilts its head, smiling through the mask. Then, without warning, it lunges forward. Cut to black. Fade in. EXT. Abandoned house. Dawn. The house is silent once again. No one is around. The front door swings open, creaking in the wind. Suddenly, a mask falls from the doorway, tumbling onto the steps. A single, empty eye stares out from the eye hole, unblinking. Fade in. EXT. Abandoned house. Day. The morning sun casts a haunting glow over the desolate mansion. The mask that fell from the doorway still rests on the steps. A lone raven caws in the distance, its sound echoing in the eerie silence. Cut to it. Police station. Day. The camera focuses on Detective Oliver Gray, late 40s, a hardened investigator. He sits at his cluttered desk, flipping through case files. His face is tense, weathered from years of dealing with unspeakable horrors. The walls around him are covered in pinned photos, newspaper clippings, and sketches of unsolved cases. Oliver speaking to himself, quietly. There's a pattern here, something we're missing. A young officer, Officer Riley, approaches his desk with a new file. Officer Riley, detective, you need to see this. Oliver looks up. Riley places a photo on the desk. It's of the mask from the abandoned house. Oliver, his brow furrows. Where did you find this? Officer Riley, it was left at the scene. Same house, the one on Mill Hill Road. Oliver sighs, massaging his temples. God, I thought this was over. Flashback it. Abandoned house. Night. Years ago. Detective Gray is younger now, in his early 30s, standing in the middle of the same house. The air is thick with the smell of decay. He holds a flashlight, its beam cutting through the shadows. The walls are covered in strange symbols, drawn in what looks like blood. He steps cautiously over the rotting floorboards. In the center of the room, a blood-stained altar looms, surrounded by photographs of the same masked figures, all staring back at him. Oliver, young, whispering to himself, I have to stop this, but what if I'm already too late? Suddenly, the door slams shut behind him. He spins around, the flashlight shaking in his hand. A shadow moves across the room. The young girl from the photographs, her face twisted in terror, stands in the doorway, holding the same clown mask. Her voice, barely audible, drips with malice. Young girl, once you were the mask, you become the mask. Back to present. Int. Police Station. Day. Detective Gray stands in front of the bulletin board, his fingers brushing over the photos of past victims, each one wearing a different mask. Officer Riley looking over Gray's shoulder. You think it's connected to the girl? Oliver pauses, eyes hardening. Not just her. It's something older, much older. Officer Riley, so what do we do now? Oliver turns, his face grim. We find whoever's behind it, and we stop them before they become the mask. EXT. Abandoned house. Night. The house looms over them, a dark, oppressive figure in the night. Gray and Riley approach cautiously, both armed and ready. The air is thick with the stench of decay and something far worse, fear. They can feel it, like a presence just beyond their reach. Oliver whispering, this is where it started, this is where it ends. As they step onto the porch, the front door creaks open, seemingly of its own accord. A cold wind rushes out, pushing them back. Suddenly, a figure in a mask steps into the doorway. Its movements are jerky, as if controlled by some unseen force. The mask is grotesque, made of cracked porcelain, with hollow eyes staring into the souls of those who gaze upon it. Officer Riley, voice trembling. We're not alone, are we? Gray doesn't respond. His eyes are locked onto the figure. Oliver, quietly, to himself. I should have known. It was never the house. It was the masks. The figure tilts its head, then slowly begins to walk toward them, its footsteps soundless. With each step, the air grows colder, the darkness deeper. Oliver to Riley, urgently. Get inside. We need to finish this. But before they can make their move, the figure raises its hands, revealing a collection of masks, more than ever before, stacked upon its arms. A low, raspy voice calls out from behind the masks. Voice, whispering, One mask for every soul. One for each of you. The masks on the figure's arms begin to tremble, as though alive. The ground beneath their feet shakes violently, and a horrible screeching sound fills the air. The house comes alive, as though it's breathing. Cut to it. House. Basement. Night, the camera moves down into the basement, where shadows twist and writhe. The walls are covered with even more masks, hundreds of them, lining every inch of space. Some are old, some look brand new, but all are unsettling. At the far end of the room, a single figure sits in a chair, facing a cracked mirror. The man in the chair lifts his head, his eyes empty, his face a blank mask of terror. He whispers, barely audible, "Man in the chair, they never leave. The masks, they always come back." Fade in, EXT. Abandoned house. Night, the camera pans across the decaying exterior of the mansion. A storm begins to brew, dark clouds swirling overhead as if nature itself is reacting to the horrors inside. Lightning flashes, illuminating the house in stark, brief moments of clarity. Cut to it. Living room. Night, Detective Gray and Officer Riley stand frozen in the doorway, watching as the figure in the grotesque mask moves toward them. The air feels suffocating, thick with dread. The figure's steps are slow, deliberate, but each one seems to reverberate through their very bones. Oliver breathing heavily, voice trembling with cold. "Stay behind me." Riley nods, gripping his gun tighter, though his hands are shaking. Both men know that conventional weapons won't stop whatever this is, but they have no choice but to try. The figure reaches the center of the room, its mask glinting in the dim light. It raises one hand, and in an unnatural mechanical motion, it starts to unfasten the masks from its arms, slowly, one by one. Officer Riley whispers, "What is it doing?" Oliver, voice grim, low, "Offering them to us." The figure's voice echoes through the room. Not a whisper, but a deep, reverberating tone that seems to come from all around them. Figure deep, raspy voice. "To wear the mask is to surrender. To surrender is to live forever. But first you must choose." The masks float from the figure's hands, suspended in the air, as if alive. They spin, twirling in place like dancers, each one glowing faintly, emitting a strange, otherworldly light. Oliver stepping forward, resolute. "We won't play your game. We'll end this now." The figure's head jerks to the side in a disturbing, unnatural movement, as if in amusement. "Figure, you think it ends with you?" The voice echoes louder, almost mocking. "You're not the first to come here. You won't be the last." Suddenly, the room darkens. The lights flicker, and shadows stretch unnaturally along the walls. The ground trembles beneath their feet. A whispering choir begins to fill the room. The voices faint at first, then growing louder and louder. Dozens of voices, all chanting the same words in unison. Choir, whispering, "Once the mask is worn, the soul is bound." Riley hysterical. "God, what is happening?" Oliver grabbing Riley by the arm, pulling him back. "Get out of here. Now!" But as they turn to run, the door slams shut with a deafening bang. The air around them grows colder, thicker, suffocating. The walls seem to close in, and the sound of distant footsteps echoes from all corners of the house. Figure softly, as if to itself, "You never leave. You never leave." The masks in the air begin to pulse with energy. One by one, they snap toward the walls, attaching themselves to the photographs pinned there. The photos of people wearing masks, smiling, staring, grinning, start to distort. Their faces twist, contort, as if the masks themselves are alive, taking control. Oliver desperate, pulling at the door handle, frantic. "Riley, help me." But Riley stands frozen, his eyes wide with terror, staring at one of the photos, a woman with hollow eyes, wearing the same clown mask. Riley, voice shaky, barely above a whisper. That's her. The girl from the photos. She's here." As the figure steps closer, the masks start to move, shifting in the air, as if alive, floating toward them. The walls reverberate with an unnatural hum, and the house creaks as if it were alive, breathing. Oliver panicked, turning to Riley. "We have to break out of here. Now." The figure moves forward, slow but purposeful. The room begins to fill with a tangible, suffocating darkness. Figure mockingly, "You think you can leave? Once you see the masks, you can never escape." A flash of lightning illuminates the house, and in that brief moment, the room transforms. The walls are no longer old, decaying wood. They are covered in ancient runes, glowing faintly, shifting and pulsating as if alive. The house itself seems to be a living, breathing entity. A loud, grating noise erupts from the walls. The masks detach and begin to float around the figure, moving in rhythmic patterns, almost like they're preparing for something. The lights flicker and die. Basement. Night, the camera shifts to the basement of the house, where the man in the chair still sits, his face covered by an ancient, cracked mask. He whispers again, louder this time, as though to himself. Man in the chair, they will come. They always do. But once they wear the mask, they will become them, part of the collection. His voice quivers, a mix of dread and hopelessness. Man in the chair, so unteed. There's no stopping it. The masks, they take everything. Suddenly, a shadow passes by him in the darkness, and the mask on the man's face begins to twitch, his fingers trembling as he reaches for it. The mask glows ominously for a moment, then begins to crack along the seams, revealing the true horror behind it. Cut to it. Living room. Night, Oliver and Riley stand frozen in fear as the room shakes violently. The figure, now surrounded by an ever-growing circle of floating, flickering masks, steps forward one last time. Figure. You cannot stop what you do not understand. In one swift motion, the figure raises both hands and the masks fly toward them. Time seems to slow. Officer Riley, no, we can't let it happen. Oliver spins to face him, the terror evident in his eyes. Oliver, stay focused, Riley. This is our last chance. But before either of them can react, the masks are upon them, swirling like a storm, tangling around their heads, their faces. Abandoned house. Night, the storm rages outside, the wind howling through the twisted branches of dead trees, the ground slick with rain. The mansion seems to breathe, its ancient walls groaning under the weight of centuries of secrets. Cut to it. Living room. Night, the masks have taken over. Hundreds of them spin in the air, their cracked, twisted surfaces reflecting flickers of moonlight through the broken windows. The detective, Oliver, and officer, Riley, stand frozen in place, their bodies now bound by the masks, slowly beginning to merge with the grotesque entities they once hunted. The figures stand in the center of the room, watching them, its hollow eyes gleaming behind the mask. Figure voice like cold, dead stone. To wear the mask is to forget, to become nothing but the face of the one who came before you. Riley's eyes are wide with terror as the mask floats closer to his face, an unnatural force drawing it toward him. His hands tremble as he tries to reach up to stop it. Riley panicked, struggling to speak. No, please, we don't. But the mask presses against his skin, sealing over his face with a sickening snap. His body convulses as if in pain, then goes still. His eyes, now hidden, glimmer with a strange, vacant light. Oliver, choking back a scream, stepping backward. Riley, no. But before he can act, the figure turns its gaze to him, and the air grows heavy. A deep, ominous hum fills the room, vibrating through the floor and walls. Figure, too late. Flashback, old family photo album. Day, the camera pans over an old, dusty photo album, its pages yellowed with age. On each page are family portraits, their faces obscured by various grotesque masks. The camera focuses on one image, a man in a suit, his expression grim behind a black and white mask. Voice of a woman, whispering, the masks. They never forget. Back to present it. Living room. Night, Oliver stumbles, his breath ragged. The figure steps closer, and the room begins to distort around him. The masks start to shimmer, pulsating with energy, as if they're alive, each one carrying a piece of someone's soul. The walls seem to close in on him, the house itself coming alive in a grotesque, terrifying dance. Oliver barely able to speak. This house, it was never abandoned, was it? The figure steps forward, its voice cold and emotionless. Figure, the house has always been. Waiting. The room around Oliver warps further, and the house seems to fold in on itself like a nightmare made flesh. Oliver whispers, desperate. Why me? Why now? The figure raises its hands, and the masks swirl faster, creating a vortex of flickering faces, some crying, others laughing, but all staring at Oliver with empty eyes. Figure, you came seeking answers, detective, but you should have known. The masks are the answers. Flashback at police station day, years ago. A young Oliver Gray sits at his desk, his face weary from years of investigating the same series of murders. He flips through case files of missing persons and grisly deaths, all tied to strange, unknown masks. Older officer, Sergeant James, enters the room, his expression grave. Sergeant James softly, with a hint of dread. You know, Gray, you've been chasing shadows for a long time. There are some things better left buried. You can't stop what's already started. Oliver, young, focused, determined. I'll stop it. I have to. Sergeant James' warning tone. You don't understand. The masks. They choose, not the other way around. Back to present it. Living room. Night. Oliver's eyes widen as he remembers the words. The realization crashes down on him like a wave of cold terror. Oliver realizing the truth, his voice barely audible. They choose. Figure voice like an echo. Yes. And now, you've been chosen. INT. Basement. Night. The camera cuts to the man in the chair in the basement. His body is skeletal now, his eyes glazed, but he still whispers to himself, rocking gently in his chair. Man in the chair, desperate, muttering. Escape is impossible. You are part of the collection. They are part of you, forever. He grips the armrests of the chair, his fingers turning white, as if he's trying to hold onto his last shred of humanity. Man in the chair, so indeed. They will never let you go. In living room. Night. Oliver stands at the center of the room, the vortex of masks swirling violently around him. He can feel the presence of something ancient, something powerful, and he knows he's next. Suddenly, he sees a glimpse of Jenna, the girl in the photos, the one who started it all. Her face appears in the air, surrounded by hundreds of other faces, staring at him, judging him. Jenna, her voice distant and ethereal. Once you wear the mask, you will never be free. Oliver screaming, fighting against the pull of the masks. I won't become one of you. But the masks are relentless. They begin to close in on him, their cold, cracked surfaces pressing against his skin. His body convulses, his vision blurs, and he fights to stay conscious, to hold on to himself. Cut to EXT. Abandoned house. Dawn. The storm is over. The mansion stands in eerie silence, its windows reflecting the pale light of the breaking dawn. The front door creaks open, and the wind stirs the fallen leaves around the porch. A mask falls onto the steps. It is the same clown mask worn by Jenna, the girl who began this twisted cycle. It lies there, untouched, as if waiting for something or someone. Suddenly, the camera zooms in on the mask's hollow eyes. EIT. Abandoned house. Dawn. The storm has finally passed, but the air remains thick with unease. The once majestic mansion now stands like a decaying monument to something far darker than anyone could ever imagine. A soft wind whispers through the broken windows, stirring the damp leaves that litter the front porch. The camera focuses on the abandoned mask resting on the porch steps, the same mask that has haunted Detective Gray's every step. Its cracked surface gleams in the pale light of dawn, as if beckoning someone, anyone, to come closer. INT. Living room. Night. Oliver's body trembles as the last of the masks closes in on him. The figure, its hollow, lifeless eyes staring into his soul, stands directly before him. Oliver's breath is ragged, his chest heaving as he fights against the magnetic pull of the mask surrounding him. Oliver, voice shaking, desperate. I won't become one of them. The figure tilts its head, as if amused by his resistance. Its voice, like a whisper carried by the wind, drifts into his mind. Figure, you already are. The masks begin to press against his face, their cracked surfaces cold against his skin. Each mask carries the weight of 1,000 souls, each one trying to consume him, to bury his identity in favor of something darker. Oliver screaming, his voice raw. No, I'm not them. I am me. Flashback at police station day. A younger Detective Gray stares at a wall of photographs, victims of the mass killings. His fingers trace the edges of the pictures, his mind already piecing together the terrible pattern that ties them all together. Sergeant James' grim, warning tone. You think this is about the masks? About stopping the killer? You're wrong, Gray. These are just the faces of what came before. Detective Gray, young, eyes narrowing in defiance. Then I'll stop what's been done before. I'll stop it now. Back to present it. Living room. Knight Oliver grits his teeth, his hands clenched at his sides. He refuses to surrender. But the masks press harder, suffocating him, pulling him further into their dark grip. Oliver desperate. You can't do this. I won't let you. The figure's voice cuts through the air, a cold, mocking tone. Figure, you cannot outrun fate, detective. The masks were never just worn, they were made. You are part of this cycle. Oliver, voice trembling, breaking. Cycle? What cycle? The figure's form seems to twist and shift in the shadows, its presence overwhelming. It steps closer, and Oliver feels a coldness seep into his bones. Figure, echoing voice. The cycle of those who wore the masks before you. Those who chose to surrender their faces and their souls. This house is where they are born, where the masks are forged and the faces are forgotten. Suddenly, the room grows brighter, the shadows pulling back, revealing a vision, a glimpse of the past. Vision it. Mask forge. Night. Flashback. A massive, hidden chamber lies beneath the mansion. The walls are lined with shelves full of grotesque, ancient masks, each one more horrifying than the last. At the center of the room stands an altar, its surface slick with dark stains. A figure cloaked in darkness stands over the altar, chanting in an ancient language. The air vibrates with an otherworldly energy, and the masks, as though alive, begin to move. They shift and contort, their shapes warping as they are imbued with a terrible power. Voice of a woman, whispering, distant, to wear the mask is to forget the face that was once yours. Back to present it. Living room. Night, the vision shatters, and the room is plunged back into darkness. Oliver staggers, his body fighting the pull of the masks, his mind reeling from the revelation. Oliver whispers, horrified. They forged them. All of this. It's alive. The figure's cold laugh echoes through the room. Figure, you understand now. You're not just a detective. You're the next step. The masks need you, just as they needed all the others. Oliver, his voice shaking, almost pleading. I'm not like them. I won't be. But as he speaks, the air around him begins to distort. The masks swirl faster, their jagged edges cutting into his skin. EXT. Abandoned house. Dawn outside. The wind picks up again, and a figure appears at the edge of the forest, a woman in a tattered dress. She moves silently through the overgrown yard, her eyes locked onto the mansion. The woman is Jenna. Her face, half hidden by the shadows, reveals the same vacant expression that had once haunted Oliver's dreams. She walks toward the house, her every step deliberate, purposeful. As she nears the front door, the ground beneath her feet begins to tremble. The air shifts again, and the house seems to sense her arrival, as though it's waiting for her to return. INT. Living room. Night Oliver is now on his knees, his body convulsing, the masks completely surrounding him. Their faces press against his skin, whispering promises of eternal life, of forgetting, of being reborn. But as the masks inch closer, he grabs hold of the nearest one, the clown mask. He stares at it, feeling its power pulse in his hand. And then, with one final burst of strength, he tears it from his face. The room goes silent. Oliver, breathing heavily. I'm not like them. Suddenly, the figure steps back, its hollow eyes narrowing. Figure, then you will die as they did. Alone. EXT. Abandoned house. Dawn. Jenna steps onto the porch, her eyes locked on the front door. She reaches out, touches the handle, and the door creaks open as though it had been waiting for her. The house groans, its walls shifting as if in recognition. INT. Living room. Night Oliver stands, shaking but resolute. The masks have stopped moving, as if they've grown afraid of him. She stares at him, empty eyes filled with something ancient, something terrible. Jenna, voice distant, echoing from all around. You can never leave. Oliver looks around, realizing too late that it was never about leaving the house. It was about becoming part of it. EIT. Abandoned house. Dawn. The pale light of dawn cuts through the trees, casting long shadows across the decrepit mansion. The wind whispers softly through the skeletal branches, as if the house itself is breathing, waiting for something or someone to enter. Jenna stands on the porch, the wind tugging at her tattered dress, her face obscured by the same twisted clown mask. Her eyes, hollow and cold, are fixed on the door that slowly creaks open before her. She steps inside, her presence as inevitable as the darkness that has plagued the house for centuries. Living room. Night. The atmosphere is thick with an oppressive silence, broken only by the sound of Oliver's labored breathing. The room is filled with the haunting, vacant faces of the masks. They hover in the air around him, as though waiting for him to make a choice. One final, terrifying choice. Jenna steps into the room, her movements slow and deliberate. She doesn't speak. She doesn't need to. Oliver's eyes widen as he sees her, the girl who was once a victim, now a part of this cursed cycle. She approaches, her eyes gleaming through the cracks of the mask, as if mocking him. Oliver voice cracking. "Jenna, what have they done to you?" But Jenna does not respond. She lifts her hand, and a mask, the same clown mask, floats toward him, suspended in midair. Her fingers twitch, a command, a promise. The masks in the room shift, swirling in eerie harmony. "Jenna, softly. You don't have to fight it, Oliver. It's already inside you." Oliver clenching his fists, shaking with rage. "No, I won't become one of them." But as the mask draws closer, Oliver can feel the air around him grow colder, heavier, as though the house is pressing down on him. The walls seem to close in, the very foundation of the place vibrating with an ancient, malevolent force. Flashback in living room. Night. Years ago, a younger Detective Gray stares at an old newspaper clipping pinned to his wall. The headline reads, "Mysterious Deaths Linked to Ritualistic Masks, The Curse of the House." He slams his fist on the table, frustrated. Young Oliver to himself, bitterly. "I thought I could stop this. But it's not just the killer. It's the house, the masks. They're all connected." Sergeant James enters, looking weary but resigned. Sergeant James grimly. "You can't stop what's been set in motion. You can only fight it, but you'll never win." The masks choose. Always. Back to present it. Living room. Night. Oliver snaps back to reality, but the realization hits him harder now. The masks were never about the killers. They were the killers, the souls of the cursed, the ones trapped in the cycle. Jenna slowly reaches out, the mask hovering just inches from Oliver's face. The air seems to grow thick, as if the house itself is holding its breath, waiting for him to make his decision. Jenna voice soft, almost gentle. "You can be free, Oliver. You just have to wear the mask." In basement. Night. The camera cuts to the man in the chair, still bound to his seat in the basement. His body is gaunt, his eyes vacant. He whispers to himself, rocking back and forth in the shadows. Man in the chair whispering, "Once you wear it, you can never escape. Not the mask, not the house, not the cycle." He shakes his head, his voice trembling with fear and regret. Man in the chair, so indeed. "They feed on us, and we feed on them." The camera pans down to the floor beneath him, where the faint outline of old runes is etched into the stone. The air around the runes seems to ripple, as if alive. Living room. Night. Oliver stumbles backward, his chest rising and falling erratically as he grapples with the weight of the truth. The mask, the same clown mask, hovers just before him, its cracked surface glowing faintly in the dim light. Oliver, desperate, voice hoarse, "No, I can't. I won't let it take me." But as he speaks, the walls begin to tremble and the room darkens. The flickering light seems to distort around him, as if the house itself is trying to consume him. Suddenly, the masks swirl around him in a chaotic storm, their faces contorting, distorting. They scream in whispers, their voices growing louder, more insistent. Masks whispering, "Join us. Become one of us." Oliver's legs give out beneath him. He falls to his knees, overwhelmed by the pressure. The masks press against him, suffocating him. He feels his body grow heavy, the weight of the house pulling him deeper into its grasp. Abandoned house. Dawn outside. The wind howls again, carrying with it a strange, otherworldly energy. The house is alive, its windows glowing with an eerie light, its walls seeming to pulse with the rhythm of the storm. Jenna steps outside, her face still hidden behind the mask. She turns toward the sky, her form illuminated by the strange glow emanating from the house. Her eyes, now wide and vacant, reflect a distant memory of someone she once was, before she, too, became a part of the house's eternal cycle. Jenna whispering, barely audible, "We are the ones who never leave." In living room, Night Oliver's body is now completely still, his eyes locked open, but lifeless. The masks circle around him, slowly moving closer, as if they've claimed him. His face, the last remaining part of him, remains untouched for now, but only for a brief moment. The figure watches from the shadows, its hollow eyes gleaming with malice. Figure voice cold and emotionless. Another one, another soul for the collection. Suddenly, the clown mask, the very mask Jenna had offered, descends upon Oliver's face, pressing against him with force. Flashback and mask forged. Night, long ago. The scene shifts again to the ancient mask forged deep beneath the house. The chamber is full of masks, all whispering and shifting, as though alive with the souls of those who once wore them. The figure stands over the altar, its voice chanting an ancient incantation. Figure, chanting, face of the forgotten, soul of the lost. Join us in the mask, become one with the past. Back to present it. Living room. Night Oliver's eyes flicker, his body jerking as the mask fully settles over his face. His breath catches, and for the briefest of moments, he struggles against the weight of the house, but it's futile. The mask tightens against his skin, its final seal. Complete. EXT. Abandoned house. Dusk. The house stands still, shrouded in mist, a dark silhouette against the bleeding orange and purple sky. The storm clouds swirl overhead, casting long, menacing shadows. The air is thick with the promise of something terrible, something unfinished. The camera zooms in slowly on the front door, now ajar, the faint sound of whispers leaking from within. INT. Living room. Night. The room is suffocatingly silent, the air oppressive. The masks hang in the air like spectral guardians, their faces twisted, grotesque, frozen in eternal screams and grins. Oliver's body lies motionless in the center of the room, his face covered by the clown mask. The once familiar man, the detective who tried to fight the house, has now become part of its curse. Jenna stands at the edge of the room, her face still hidden behind her own mask. Her movements are slow, deliberate, as if she is waiting for something, for someone. Suddenly, the mask over Oliver's face begins to twitch, a slight shudder that spreads through his body. His hands tremble slightly, as if trying to break free from the mask's grip. Flashback and living room. Day. Years ago, Jenna, a young girl, smiles in a family portrait, her eyes full of life, before the world of masks consumed her. Her family, happy, unaware of the evil lurking beneath the house. Jenna, I remember the first time the masks came. It wasn't the death that terrified me. It was the forgetting, the faces we lost, the faces we became. Back to present it. Living room. Night. The mask on Oliver's face trembles again, and his eyes snap open, wide with terror. He gasps for air, his hands clawing at the mask as if trying to tear it away, but it won't budge. The house groans around him, the walls trembling as if the building itself is alive, feeding on his desperation. Jenna watches, expressionless, the faintest hint of something almost like pity flickering in her eyes. She steps forward slowly, the mask floating away from her face, revealing her true expression. Twisted, vacant, haunted by the centuries she spent trapped within the cycle. INT. Basement. Night. The camera cuts to the dark, damp basement, where the man in the chair continues to rock back and forth, muttering to himself. The faint glow of the runes beneath him seems to pulse with each breath he takes. His face is a grotesque mask of sorrow, eyes wide and empty. Man in the chair whispering to himself. Broken. The masks. They never stop. The cycle never ends. Back to living room. Night. Oliver's breathing becomes frantic as the mask begins to suffocate him, its surface cracking and shifting like it's alive. He claws at it, pulling at the edges, his skin raw from the friction. Jenna's voice cuts through the struggle, soft but firm. Jenna, it's too late, Oliver. You can't fight it anymore. The mask has already chosen you. You're a part of it now. Flashback it. Living room. Night. Years ago, The older version of Sergeant James stands in front of Oliver, holding a worn-out file of cases. The dim lights flicker, casting long shadows across the room. Sergeant James, voice heavy with regret. You think you're the first to try and break the curse. You think the masks can be destroyed? You can't stop them. Not until they have everything. Everything, including your soul. Back to present it. Living room. Night. Oliver gasps, his face now turning blue from the pressure. His body writhes in agony, but the mask remains unyielding. Jenna takes another step forward, standing directly in front of him now. She places her hand on his shoulder gently, a silent, sorrowful gesture. Jenna, you were always meant to be part of this. The house was never an enemy. It was the beginning, the first piece of the puzzle. And now, it's complete. INT. Mask Forge. Night. The camera cuts to the ancient, hidden forge beneath the house, where masks are crafted with dark, ritualistic energy. The fire in the forge burns a deep crimson, and the air vibrates with the rhythm of chanting voices. The masks on the shelves shimmer, their hollow eyes glowing, waiting for the next face. Voice V. When you wear the mask, you forget the face you once had. You forget your name, your life, your soul. Back to present it. Living room. Night. Oliver's eyes flicker with recognition for the briefest of moments. He grips the edges of the mask, his fingers shaking as he pulls with every last ounce of strength. His voice is barely a whisper, strained with agony. Oliver, I won't forget. The house trembles, a sudden surge of dark energy pulsing through the walls. The masks around him start to swirl in the air, faster and faster, like a cyclone. Jenna steps back slowly, her expression unchanged. Jenna, you can't resist forever. The masks are all we are now, all we've ever been. Suddenly, Oliver's body goes still. The last breath catches in his throat, and his fingers release their grip on the mask. The room falls silent. INT. Basement. Night. The man in the chair goes quiet as well. The faint pulse of the runes beneath him grows stronger, more pronounced. His eyes, once dull and empty, snap open. Man in the chair, another one, joins the collection. Another face to be lost forever. His voice is a hollow echo, empty of hope, as if he's known this moment was coming all along. Back to living room. Night. Oliver's body remains motionless, but something changes in the air. The masks hover around him like vultures waiting for a feast. They shift and twist, their eyes gleaming with dark intent. Suddenly, a faint voice, almost a whisper, breaks the silence. Voice softly, urgently, Oliver, don't give up. Flashback into living room. Day. Years ago, a younger Oliver stares at a photo of his family, his eyes full of sorrow. He looks at the faces of the people he once loved, people whose faces have long been forgotten by the masks. Oliver young. I will stop this. I swear, I will make sure this ends. Back to present it. Living room. Night. A strange shift happens. Oliver's hand twitches, his fingers curling slightly as if trying to fight the inevitable. The masks around him seem to pause, almost confused. Then, with a surge of strength, he rips the clown mask off his face, gasping for air. But it's too late. The house begins to shake violently as though it's rejecting him, fighting back against his resistance. The walls crack, and the lights flicker wildly. Abandoned house. Night. Outside. The storm returns, swirling around the house with intense fury. The sky crackles with lightning, and the air is filled with the sound of the house screaming. The front door bursts open, revealing Jenna, standing calmly, her face still hidden behind a mask. She steps outside, walking into the storm without hesitation. Jenna whispering to herself. Everything comes full circle.